everybody. It's Bill from SITREP Podcast. I'm coming to you from the studio workshop, the editing suite, if you will. And I am going to buy a 3D printer today. Why? Because we need one. I used to have several, and then when we moved to Florida to live on a boat, we sold everything, so I have no more 3D printers, but I have things to print. I have a Kickstarter I just backed and for terrain, and I also have several Kickstarters for minis. And so today, you're going to help me spend some money as I look at buying a 3D printer. Let's take a look, shall we, at what printers are available, what features I'm looking for, and what you can look for as well. Let's hop on over. And the first one that comes up is a Bamboo Lab X1 Carbon Combo 3D printer. Now this one is a FDM printer, additive printer, if you will. And this one will also print in multi-colors due to the device that you see on top. This one is currently retailing for $14.49. It is very well reviewed, and it has a good speed. According to this, it has a high speed of 20,000 millimeters a second acceleration. Not exactly sure how true that is, but I do know that Chris, one of the team members here at the podcast, has this printer already. He loves it and says it prints very fast. I am going to put this on my list as one to consider because I am looking for two printers eventually, one resin printer, one FDM printer. Reason being is that I think personally that resin printers are great for miniatures and busts and things like that, and smaller things you want to print quickly, maybe some scattered terrain or whatnot. But for big terrain pieces, I feel that an FDM printer is the better way to go. So let's just take a quick look at the Bamboo Lab X1 Carbon. So again, like I said, it does have the spooling center on top. It allows it to print in different colors, and actually this model will allow you to print up to 16 colors. I think that's pretty amazing. It has what they call a 7 microns LiDAR resolution and detection system and all that good stuff. So it prints a benching in approximately 16 minutes. It does have a ceramic heater, a steel chassis instead of like plastic or fiberglass or something like that, or aluminum. So it will print, as you can see some of the examples here. And then it shows when it has an active vibration compensation. So I don't know if you know, at some machines, as the printer head is moving, the whole gantry can shake. So that is one option. So that is the Bamboo. 300 degrees is max temp, and that's in Celsius, and it looks like it'll print everything, including carbon glass fibers, if you're into some serious work. So there you go. So that's the first one. Let's look at another FDM printer before we move to resin. This one is pretty much one of the ones that started the whole printing, at least on a serious level, and that's a Prusa. This is the Prusa Mark IV. It does have a system to allow you to print in different colors as well. It has not changed much other than fine improvements since first iteration. Because if you look at the homepage on 3D printers, you will see that the original Mark IV, the Mark IIIs do not look that different. He's just refined them and go for there. He does offer a resin printer. I don't really know much about a Prusa resin printer, but an FDM printer. And you can get these built assembled or as a kit. Kit obviously would save you a little bit of money. So like here, the Mark III kit is $799, whereas if you buy it already built, fully assembled, it's $1,000. So you can save yourself a few $100. Personally speaking, I prefer just to buy one that I can put on the table and go from there. So again, I'm looking for a printer that can meet my needs, and my needs is either to create miniatures, or if I'm printing terrain pieces, I need a print. A resin printer will print terrain pieces, no problem. It's a lot of resin. You have to make sure it's hollow. There's some things. It's just easier to do it on an FDM, my experience. And it just Prusa is kind of like the industry standard in a lot of ways. But I feel some printers have kind of surpassed it, i.e., the bamboo. But it is still a good, dependable printer out there. Okay. Getting away from 3D FDM printers, let's go into resin. So, one of the first companies that's reviewed quite a bit, especially from war gamers, is Elegoo. Elegoo makes many different printers, and we'll go to their homepage. There's the Saturn 3 Ultra 12K. Now, there's an excellent video from Fohammer about resolutions. And he goes into something I didn't realize, because you'll see people with 12K, 14K, 8K, 6K, whatever. And it's not so much that the eye can see or cannot see it. At a certain point, the resolution becomes a moot point. Reason being is you're looking at the microns when you're printing. And if you look, so let's just look at this. Let's look at resin printers, and we'll look at let's look at the 12K. Okay. This is their newest, greatest printer. It's selling currently for $449. But what you're looking for is this right here, the XY resolution. And you can see it's at 24. All right. And maybe I'm mispronouncing that, but let me check something real quick. Am I doing that right? Yeah, I know I can't do the symbol, but uh, yep, microns. I want to make sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. So 24 microns. That's a 12K. If you look at another resin printer, we'll just go to a 4K. We'll just do this. Oh, that's a 9K, 9K, 6K. All right, we'll do 6K, half the resolution. And if you look at their details, 34 microns. Okay. So, depending on the size of the plate, you got to take in the whole dimensions of the plate. You just can't look at the resolution. You have to look at the dimensions to get your actual squared microns. So, what I'm looking for in a printer is the most latest advanced items. One of those being auto leveling. Is there an error detection? Does it have air filtration for resin printers? And does it have heating? If you're not aware that if you have your resin printer in an area that can be cooler, your resin, while it may still work, won't work as effectively as it if it's temperature controlled. So that's kind of the things I'm looking for. And looking at this, let's look at I'm looking at the latest and greatest. So the latest and greatest here is the Saturn 312 Ultra. So it gives you a 10-inch plate, or screen, not a plate. It comes with Linux OS. You got a 24 micron. You got Wi-Fi transfer if you want, and a build volume of 218 millimeters by 122 millimeters by 260 millimeters. And I really wish they would put inches on there as well, just so we know, for us people who are metrically challenged, um, the actual, in inches for us. So if you go down to here, it still doesn't show it here, so I'd have to convert that, but it's probably a 9-inch build plate if I had to guess. But it's still a pretty big volume plate. So here you got an air purifier here, that's good. A 4-point leveling system, but it looks like it's manual. And then, it runs off of Linux, which is good if you're into doing some custom stuff. This one is actually compatible with Wi-Fi 2.4 and 5. Not bad. Comes a little bit of everything. So this is their latest and greatest. So 24 microns. 10-inch screen, 12K resolution. All right, let us take a look at a similar competitor, and that's Frozen. Frozen's new printer is called the Mighty Revo. Let's look at their 12K first, and then we'll compare it to the Elegoo, and then we'll come back to the Revo, okay? So we'll look at 3D printers, and we will go to the 12K. All right, 12K. It's basically an upgrade of their Mighty 8K. So it's an upgrade kit. All right, so you get a 5-inch touch panel, Ethernet Wi-Fi, 8 gig of memory built in. It's a projection LED resolution. Again, same exact resolution, 19 by 24. Same thing as the Elegoo. And average printing speed, 400 layers an hour, depending on layer thickness, obviously. It would change based on how many layer thickness you're working. Because your printer volume, print size, again, it's all in centimeters metric. Um, File formats, a lot of the file formats, it used to be proprietary based on the manufacturer, but now they are not as proprietary, they're open source. So you can use different slicers. Cheeto box, there's all kinds of slicers out there. This one comes with Cheeto box. Um, so it's an interesting computer. I'm trying to see. It doesn't really give you a lot of details. All right, let's just go to the 8K because it says it's just an upgrade of the 8K. So let's go look at the 8K because what I'm looking for is those things: auto leveling, is there air filtration, etc., etc. All right, here's the 8K. All right, this one is a little bit more expensive than the Elegoo as well, I believe. Let's look. What was the 12K one? 12K was coming in at roughly 449, and this is $200 more. Let's see. 10-inch screen, enhanced success rate, Frozen OS. Again, it's the same specs except the resolution because of the 8K is 28 versus 24 microns. Speed is a lot slower. You have maximum frame speed of 70 millimeters an hour. Well, this one gives it in millimeters, not layers. That's interesting because the 12K says 400 layers an hour. This one says 70 millimeters an hour. So 70 millimeters an hour is what, 10 centimeters an hour? But that's pretty much it. Let's see if it goes into any. See, this is where I find this page lacking because I don't see anything about air filtration. Um, it's obvious you can look at it. Looks like you got a camera here. I think that's what that is, a camera to check on your print, but there's no filtration, no heater, no nothing like that. So for $649, this one might actually be a better buy. A Saturn 3 Ultra 12K, and that's the 12K. And let's see what the actual 12K was, because that's only the 8K. And if you go with the upgraded 12, you're looking at this one doesn't even show a price. Got to buy it from a reseller in the US. We'll go to Matter Hackers and see if it's there. Frozen. Yeah, it's not even showing the 12K. You have the upgrade kit, and it's an extra $300. So definitely not a buy. Not a buy at all. All right. Looking at another option that they came out with, and you can see now Frozen is actually in Kickstarter right now for an FDM printer that does multicolors. So it'll be interesting to see how that one looks out. But let's look at the Revo. And let me stop this video because it just automatically plays. Um, Now this one is interesting because it has a lot more features. It has smart residue detection, smart failure detection, and 24/7 mobile connection. It actually has an app where you can monitor your prints. So as you can see, it will send a notice to your phone saying, "Hey, object detected, stop the print." And you can actually stop the print. If you have a failure, it'll let you know that there's failure. So like you can see these prints are falling off the print plate. So you can actually go ahead and stop them. Um, you can control everything via hands, if you're away. You can completely monitor your um, prints, which I think is interesting. And then it has auto leveling. Just calibrate your z-axis with the press of a single button, and its automatic 0-point detection sensor, and then boom. So it's got auto leveling. Is a true auto leveling though, but it does have some form of auto leveling. Then it goes into it has a built-in heater. Um, yeah, so it says resin reaction speed decreases 30 to 60% with 10. So if your resin is colder, it reacts slowly or to setting, so you have to increase your exposure times on your lamp, which obviously can lead to burnout of your screen quicker. And it comes with a purifier. I believe it's carbon. And if you really want to get fancy, it has this hookup so you can actually have a vent. You can vent the fumes outside. So if you have to sit in an office somewhere, you could set up a thing where it vents out your window or some vent or some setup like that. So it has a built-in exhaust vent. Has a built-in light. It has a lift-up lid, so it tilts back versus lifting it up and setting off somewhere, which is nice. Ball screw, which is very stable. It has a sealed motor. That's good in case accidentally get some resin on the build surface, the screen surface. It doesn't go into your motor. Touchscreen, and I like this idea too. You can see how fast you can replace the LCD because eventually you have to replace LCDs. It's is a replaceable item, and you used to have to take the whole thing apart, get in there, disconnect some things, and literally, boom, as you can see, you take off two screws, lift off a plate, pull out the ribbon cable, unhook it, and throw a new screen in, and then reverse the process, and you're good to go. So you got a 10.5, 10.1 build plate, 24.8 microns. So it's not squared microns, 16.8 microns by 24. So it's on par with everybody else, you can get specially made resins for it. And these are Aqua Series, so I think, believe it or not, these are water-based, so you can clean them with water. And then that shows you the difference between the Aqua Hyperfine resin and Aqua AK resin, just how sharp the details are. As you can see, what this little thing is a resolution detector or a testing item. So the sharper these get and the more of these little slots you have, the better you're dialed in to your peak resolution. You use this as a tool to make adjustments in settings, layer heights, and whatnots. So the more of these you can get that are complete, the better your print's going to look, the more detail it is. So as you can see by this 8K one, if you look at the full plate, you can see it really kind of peters out way early and less of the holes and slots. And then just some examples of some things they printed on this. Can't believe they printed a whole fan. That's pretty impressive. They have some software called PixUp. I'm not familiar with it, but obviously it's got some designers behind it, and there's some World War II guys, some monsters and all, some Black Forge games. I'm not sure what this raccoon cat looking thing is, and then the Dragon Trapper's Launch. So I'll have to look into that at some point. I'm just curious. So let's get into some of the specifics. Has a heater. Yes, it does. The other two do not. And it's supposedly a 14K resolution. Air purifier, it does. Everybody else does not. Auto leveling, it does. Printer size is slightly more than the other one. Print volume is again slightly more. We're talking 1 millimeter and 0.3 millimeters, so it's very slight. You wouldn't even notice, to be honest with you. Then you're looking at resolution, so you have a 28 squared on the 8K, a 19 microns by 24 on the 12K, and then in the Revo, which is 14K, you have 16 by 24. So a little better in one axis versus on the X, Y is a little bit less. Again, you're talking 0.8 microns. You are not going to ever notice that. And we're looking at print speeds. It says 400 layers cross board until you get to the Sonic. It's 450. And then rails, you're looking at dual linear guides with ball screw versus lead screws. So ball is smoother. So as the gain tree moves up and down, it's a smoother process, less chance of vibration than the lead screws, which it's like a corkscrew and it can shake a little bit. 5-inch touch panel. The film is the same, and then open files, and then memory is 8 gig. So very interesting printer. So those are some of the more common printers. You can go on eBay or not eBay, but Amazon, and you will find a gazillion different printers. Let's go on Amazon, shall we? Just real quick. Hey, look what came up. Battle. Yeah, it always shows up on my thing. We'll go here, and we'll go 3D printer. And as you can see, now QD Technology, I bought my original big controlled my big. I had a huge resin printer from them. That's the one I printed all the Zulu miniatures off of. It was a great printer, built like a beast. It was obviously for manufacturing. They don't make it anymore. It's not available on their website. It's a shame. I wanted to get another one, but yeah, really great printer. So right now they pretty much just have FDM printers. But yeah, it's a shame, but it's it's one of those companies that kind of went under the radar, but they had great. So as you can see, there's Creality. Now Creality is one of my friend Tom Tullis's favorite printers to use. He does amazing work. If you ever heard Fat Dragon Games, let me do a quick shout out to him because he did a Kickstarter and oops, can't make my fingers work today. Fat Dragon Games. So he does a lot of different fantasy stuff. He's getting really big into 3D printing. He has his own YouTube channel. Um, he's got files, and he does everything mostly on FDM printers. I don't think he uses resin printers at all. But right now, he is at 95,000 subscribers. If you're interested, uh, subscribe to his channel. If you want anything regarding 3D printing, gaming, dungeons, all that stuff, great resource. And help him get to 100. So getting back to this, like I said, you can see FlashForge in here, FlashForge Anycubic. I used to have Anycubic printer, a couple of them, resin printers, and I went away from them and looking, like I said, I don't have one now, so I'm looking to buy one. So as you can see, there's resource there. So which one to buy? I have already made the purchase. I'm not going to tell you in this episode. We're going to have a contest. Um, If you put the comment and decide which one, it's one of the ones I've shown you, which one I chose, and I will pick a winner from the correct answers, and you will get a prize package. I will reach out to you directly and let you know, and we'll send you a little prize package. Is it going to be any of the Elegoo's? Is it going to be a Frozen? Let me bring up Frozen for you. Or is it a Prusa? Or is it a Bamboo? Remember, this is purchase number 1 of 2. You got to buy one resin, one FDM. I'm not going to tell you which one I bought or which side I went first, but I did already purchase one today. So that when I get it, we'll do another video on getting it unboxed, set up, and printing our first minis. But in the meantime, this is Bill from SITREP Podcast saying thank you very much for joining me today on this me spending my money so you can have fun watching what I do and if you're interested in a 3D printer and what your options are, remember you have FDM, additive, and you have resin printers. And it just depends on what your needs are. I personally like the resin printers for printing miniatures. You can print a dozen of them or more on one build plate, and it's the exact same amount of time as it is to print one. Whereas on FDM printers, that would take longer based on whatever you're doing, just the way it works. So I like the FDM printers for big scenery pieces. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you for joining me. Remember to catch us on our regular podcast on Saturdays, every other Saturday. We just had it yesterday. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and check that out. It was pretty good. And then we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.